You're listening to a DM podcast.
You're listening to the Betoota Advocates Weekly News Wrap on Desert Rock FM 96.5.
Welcome back to the weekly Betoota Bulletin. Back end of January. How's everyone going?
Pretty good. Yeah, enjoying it. I've started looking at some kind of other job opportunities with the resignation of Scott Morrison this week. Just concerned about whether there'll be enough workload moving forward. So just kind of keeping that in the back of my mind.
I think that's fair.
Else there, but gone pretty well.
Well, you would be. I mean, you have an inability to criticise the left, so you'd be looking for a new job.
Yeah, well, exactly. And now Scott's gone. I mean,
I know.
It would have been 500, 600, 700 articles I would have written over the last couple of years about him. So
I know.
What sort of jobs are you looking into?
Well, the Betoota Bugle, which is the Murdoch masthead here in town, they potentially will have an opening. So I'm thinking maybe I'll just go lean into that alt-right thing, get a bit Caleb Bondy, and just start taking like hot takes on my own generation and pretend like these tax cut changes are actually not beneficial to the majority of the nation.
You don't have to change jobs to do that. You could just do that for the Betoota Advocate. Like,
really?
We've requested many times that you be a little bit more balanced.
Yeah.
And you've just continued to bash the Liberal Party out of your millennial spite, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Look, just let me see what I can do. I'll try and do something that maybe attacks a Labor government, but it's just whether I can do it in the confines of this. We'll see. Anyway.
Well, no, it's not us, mate. It's all on you. What about you, Effie?
Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to the long weekend.
Did you end up getting that Jake Belordi
the bathwater candle?
Yeah.
No, I'm still waiting for it because I imagine that there's been a lot of orders. So, it said it's a few weeks away yet.
What's this
So
for
I'll let
people
you have
who
a
aren't
whiff.
aware?
Oh, so there's after the movie Saltburn, for our audience, if you haven't seen it yet, there is a bathtub scene. Definitely don't watch the movie with your mum like I did. But they now sell candles that are supposed to be a scent that is replicating what happened in that scene.
Yeah.
Basically, old mate shaves his carrot in the tub.
Yeah, and what the candle replicates that scent? Or
people want that water.
The bath water,
right. Yeah,
I
the
think
bath
it's
water is
mostly
quite a popular
homosexuals
thing.
and woo girls, but
That's exciting. I'm glad you got a little piece of history there.
Yeah, might keep it on my desk, so yeah.
Anything
You guys
depraved
wanna
from you this week, Clancy?
No, nothing quite as depraved as that. Basically getting prepared to go underground tomorrow and do what I do on every January 26, which is go opal fossicking. It's just a tradition we have in my family. It celebrates, my family's arrival to Australia on a wayward vessel from the Dutch East Indies in 1912, I believe it was. We arrived in January 26th. We found our fortunes in the desert, which, obviously you lot, while you don't realise this, are beneficiaries of my family arriving here because we made a lot of money in the desert through mostly opals and goats and also kangaroo hide, which we were selling to the Russians until Tony Abbott threatened to shirt front Putin. And that tap got turned off. But basically, that's what my family do. Every January 26th, we celebrate our direct arrival.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I just want to say I am thankful. My dad becoming mates with you was the best thing that ever happened in terms of my career. So I'm very grateful.
Well, you should really, thank you. Thank you. But it wasn't me. It was my father who promised me this job when I was a young man.
Well, should we get into the news wrap?
Well, what's in the news this week?
Well, we'll kick off with the biggest story of the week, and it's been revealed that the Stanley Cup generation will never understand going to school with a Cordial bottle full of frozen water wrapped in a tea towel with a rubber band.
Yes, it doesn't seem like a week can go by without some shots fired in the generation wars. This week, the shot was fired by one of our columnists, Harvey Thomas, one of our resident boomers, who attacked the younger generation for not knowing what it's like to deal with real-world problems.
Yes, it's caused quite a stir online after the conservative columnist named Harvey asked whether we can expect kids these days to face proper issues if they can't go a day without perfectly cold water in their insulated water bottle 24 hours a day. Of course, plenty of people came out to defend the Stanley Cup kids, saying that the use of the expensive insulated bottles is stopping tons of plastic from going back into landfill and waterways.
Yeah, don't think I really care about this issue, but people on the internet do.
People on the internet love to just care about any particular
issue.
I'm more of
really.
a Yeti man myself, but we'll move on to some political news.
Yeah, speaking of news that didn't make it to the internet or the headlines this week, what have we got here, Wendell Hussey?
Got quite a long headline, so I'm just going to have a run at it. Nation now understanding why Scott Morrison didn't fuck off sooner after his 18-month lobbying ban ends just in time for him to take a highly paid consulting job with a defence company that benefited directly from the AUKUS submarine deal, which cost Australians $400 billion in taxpayer money and left us humiliated by Macron on the world stage.
Citizens of the nation of Australia have been given a little bit of clarity around why former Prime Minister Scott Morrison decided to hang around Parliament for an extra 18 months after being booted from the top job. Traditionally, most former Prime Ministers bow out of Parliament after being knocked off the throne, given their inability to shrink their ego and deal with the relevancy deficiency syndrome that comes with a demotion to the back seats of Parliament House.
But that wasn't the case for Scott Morrison. With much confusion as to what the hell he was doing hanging around, he was just waiting 18 months on the backbench taking a taxpayer's salary while waiting for his 18-month post-ministerial position lobbying ban to end, before he could take a job with a defence company that in no way benefited from the $400 billion Scott signed off when he was Prime Minister.
Timed it pretty well there because he had the Christmas break right at the end. Yeah. So he could have gone just before Christmas, but obviously not much goes on for politicians for that break. So he 18 month finished December, gets the Chrissy break, chills out, comes back, not too much happens, and then you can jump off to those number of defence companies actually. So it's worked out pretty well, and he won't even need to leave Australia. Queensland news now, Effie?
Yes, and the Bureau of Meteorology says you know it's a bad cyclone when it's got a tuckshot mum name.
Yes, after Cyclone Kirrily developed off the coast this week, Premier Stephen Miles said that it's critical that everyone in the warning zone was prepared as the weather event tracks towards our coast. And that was because the Bureau of Meteorology explained that any cyclone with a tuckshot mum name is not a cyclone you want to fuck around with.
Yes, as a spokesperson for the Bureau of Meteorology explained to us, he said, "We've found that weather systems that have names that sound like a fiery mum on footy training drop-off are going to be the ones that cause the most chaos. Think Tracy, Debbie, Yazzie." Obviously, Yazzie's a bit more of a millennial tuckshot mum name, but you get the idea. She was just as rough as the rest.
Yeah, I would not be mucking around with a Yazzie, I don't think. Finishing up with a story close to your heart now, Effie Bateman.
Yes, and Oscar Awards face backlash for not nominating a $145 million Mattel advertisement in every single category.
Yes, while Margot Robbie was nominated as a producer for the Barbie movie in the Best Picture category, and the director Greta Gerwig received a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay, the fact that this film has not been nominated in every single category has outraged a global army of girl bosses who are now furious that the majority of awards won't go to feminist trailblazers.
Yes, the Becky feminist outrage over the Academy's decision to not take part in a complete Barbie supremacy has also minimised the fact that Lily Gladstone has made Oscars history as the first Native American nominated for Best Actress. However, there is some positive news to come out of the nominations. Films made in the United Kingdom are now apparently considered foreign, which is quite exciting.
Very humorous.
Yeah, a lot of comments on that article, actually. The Stanley Cup was the biggest one, but this one seemed to have quite a few comments.
Yeah, would not have expected that. Lucky, lucky I stand by our, as editor, stand by our writers, particularly, Ingrid Dalton. She might be blowing a bit of smoke now, and people call her a turf, but I think she made some valid points here. Yeah, anyway.
Sometimes people just don't like hearing things that don't fit their agenda, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't say anything about Anthony Albanese.
Don't say anything about Anthony Albanese. Don't say anything about Anthony Albanese. That seems to be the memo around here when I'm not around. Anyway, thank you for joining us this week.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Hooroo.